Here I am exposing my classmates and school stories because you guys like it so much. But before we start, if you want your stories to be included in my videos, all you have to do is just join my Discord server from the link in description and send your stories there. I will surely add it in my next videos. Now let's start the video. You ever had that one classmate who just made you question reality? Well, I had two. One of them was so obsessed with turning everything into the most uncomfortable joke possible and talking about no things, and the other, I still don't know what she was doing, but I swear it felt like a skibidi toilet movie. If you think your classmates were weird, just wait till you hear this .so. Let's start with James. This dude had a sixth sense for making anything sound sus. I could say something as innocent as I love hot dogs, and before I could even finish my sentence, he'd be like, "That's kinda. You know, bro, it's food. Chill." The worst part, he did this all the time. You couldn't say anything around him without him twisting it into some cringy, cursed joke. It was like he had an entire library of middle school humor stored in his brain, just waiting to ruin your day. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for what he did at lunch one day. We were just sitting, minding our own business, eating like normal human beings, when Jane suddenly leaned in way too close to my ear and whispers, Daddy, excuse me, WHAT? I froze. My brain completely shut down for a solid second. Then, pure instinct, I slapped him so hard, even the cafeteria ladies stopped what they were doing. The entire table went silent. Then, half the people started wheezing with laughter, and the other half looked like they needed therapy. James? He was just sitting there grinning like he just accomplished something. But oh, we are far from done. James wasn't just a professional skibidi cringe generator, he was also a professional dumbass. This man was failing math, and instead of studying or, doing his homework, he decides to pull his biggest spud yet. He walks up to the teacher with full confidence, and I kid you not, in front of the entire class, says, "Sue, I could do something to bring my grade up, bro. Are you asking to die?" The worst part, our math teacher was actually kind of a creep. So I'm sitting there like, oh, my, die. He's gonna get himself expelled. I didn't even think. I just bolted to the staff and told them what happened. Next thing you know, James got suspended for 2 weeks, and bro, when he came back, he was a different person. It was like those 2 weeks humbled his soul. Like he got baptized in detention or something. He never made those weird ass jokes again. And honestly, good. But just when I thought I was free from weird classmates, I remembered there was also Sarah. Now, Sarah was confusing. First off, she was Muslim, but she showed a lot of skin. Now, I'm not an expert on religious dress codes or anything, but it definitely seemed unexpected. She also never wore her hijab, which wasn't really a big deal, but considering how she dressed, it just made everything even more confusing. But all of that was nothing compared to the real problem. Sarah had this one habit that literally freaked people out. And when I say freak people out, I mean she could have been cast in a skibidi toilet movie and won an Oscar every time she bent down. She would turn her head and make these creepy, exaggerated faces like she wanted someone to notice. And I'm not talking about a playful joke or some silly moment. This was full skibidi behavior. She would slowly glance over her shoulder, her eyes wide open, smiling like she just crawled out of a haunted basement. And if she made eye contact with you, bro, you'd have cringy nightmares for a week. The first time I saw it, I genuinely thought something was wrong. I was like, oh my God, is she okay? Does she need help? But after the third time, I realized no, she's doing this on purpose. One time, we were in PE class, and she dropped her water bottle. She bent down to pick it up, and I swear to you she turned her head slowly like a skibidi movie villain, made direct eye contact, and smirked. I almost ran out of the gym. I wasn't the only one who noticed. A few other kids caught it too. And after that, we all made a silent agreement, never look in her direction when she bends down. It became a survival tactic. But wait, it gets worse. One day in history class, she was sitting in front of me. She dropped her pencil, bent down to get it, and of course, I immediately looked away because I wasn't trying to have another paranormal experience. But my friend, he didn't know the rule yet. He made the fatal mistake of glancing over. And the look on his face, bro, he looked traumatized. He turned to me, whispered under his breath, "What the hell?" and refused to look in her direction. For the rest of the class.at this point, I had so many questions. Like, was this a joke to her? Was she trolling us? Or was this just how she acted? And more importantly, why did she keep doing ID? I swear, it felt like I was living in some kind of Scooby simulation. One guy out here trying to get himself expelled, and another girl acting like she was possessed every time she bent over. Then there is this weird couple who were making no-no videos and doing no-no things. Emma and Jake had always been the kind of couple who couldn't keep their hands off each other. Their relationship was a secret at first, but it didn't take long for their chemistry to spill over into risky situations. What started as innocent flirtation quickly turned into a series of scandals that left their classmates and teachers. It all began in the school library of all places. Emma and Jake had been studying together, or at least that's what they told everyone. But when the librarian, Mrs. Green, noticed the two of them sneaking into the rarely used archive section, she grew suspicious. She followed them quietly, only to find them locked in no-no position behind a stack of old yearbooks. Mrs. Green cleared her throat loudly, causing them to jump apart. "This is a library, not a bedroom," she scolded, her face red with anger. "If I catch you two in here again, I'll report you to the principal." Emma and Jake apologized, but as soon as Mrs. Green walked away, they burst into laughter. They thought they'd gotten away with it until the next time they were caught again. A few weeks later, the couple found themselves in another situation, this time in the boys' locker room. Jake had stayed late after football practice, and Emma had snuck in to surprise him. They thought they were alone, but the teen's star quarterback, Tyler, walked in unexpectedly. Tyler froze when he saw them, his eyes widening in shock. "Dude, seriously? In the locker room?" he said, shaking his head. Jake tried to play it cool. "It's not what it looks like, man," but Tyler wasn't buying it. By the next morning, the entire football team knew about the incident, and the rumors spread like wildfire. Emma and Jake became the talk of the school, but instead of laying low, they seemed to thrive on the attention. The annual school hiking trip was supposed to be a chance for Emma and Jake to escape the gossip and spend some quality time together. But as usual, their plans took a scandalous turn. While the rest of the class was busy hiking, Emma and Jake decided to take a path to a lone clearing. They thought they were alone, but a group of students who had wandered off the trail spotted them from a distance. "Are they?" one of the students whispered, pointing in their direction. They caught Emma doing something with her mouth and were just disturbed and shocked. The group watched in stunned silence as Emma and Jake finished the skibidi moment, completely unaware they were being watched. When the students returned to the group, they couldn't resist sharing what they'd seen. By the time Emma and Jake made it back to the main trail, everyone was whispering and giggling. The teachers were furious, but without concrete evidence. They couldn't do much more than give the couple a stern warning. If Emma and Jake thought their hiking trip scandal would be the end of their troubles, they were sorely mistaken. A week later, they found themselves in yet another skibidi situation, this time in the school cafeteria. During lunch, Emma and Jake decided to sneak into the storage room to grab some extra snacks. But once they were inside, they couldn't resist. Unfortunately for them, the cafeteria manager walked in at the worst possible moment. "What on earth are you two doing in here?" Emma and Jake froze, their faces turning bright red. "We were just looking for napkins," Jake stammered. The manager wasn't fooled. She marched them straight to the principal's office, where they were giving yet another lecture about appropriate behavior. By the time prom rolled around, Emma and Jake had become infamous for their scandalous antics. But instead of laying low, they decided to make the most of the night. After the dance, they snuck off to the school's rooftop, where they thought they'd be alone. But their luck ran out when the school janitor, Mr. Carter, decided to do a final sweep of the building. He heard laughter coming from the rooftop and went to investigate. When he opened the door, he found Emma and Jake in a no-no position. "Out, now," Mr. Carter barked. Emma and Jake got up on their feet and hurried back to the dance. But the damage was done. The janitor reported the incident, and the next day, the entire school was buzzing about the prom night scandal. By the end of the school year, Emma and Jake had become the most talked about couple in school history, but their antics finally caught up with them during graduation rehearsal. While the rest of the class was practicing their walk across the stage, Emma and Jake snuck off to an empty classroom. They thought they were being sneaky, but the principal, who had been keeping a close eye on them, walked in at the worst possible moment. "That's it," the principal said. "You two are suspended from graduation activities. Consider this your final warning." But the school problems does not end here, as the guy who literally made the whole school smell like stomach gas, if you know what I mean by a weirdo, creepy experiment. James always had a reputation for being a little too experimental, but no one expected him to go full-blown mad scientist in the middle of the school day. It all started when he confidently announced that he was working on his own cologne, something never before smelled by human noses. Of course, no one took him seriously. He was James, after all. But what no one realized was that his cologne was actually a bottle of concentrated fart spray, and James had zero chill about using every last drop of it. His first target, history class. As soon as he let out a few sprays, it was game over. The stench exploded like a nuclear bomb of rotten eggs, expired milk, and a public restroom at peak hours. Within seconds, the entire classroom was impure. Chaos, students gagging, covering their noses, and one poor kid actually vomited on the floor. The teacher's face twisted in absolute horror before they ordered an emergency evacuation. But the nightmare wasn't contained. It spilled into the hallway, spreading like a deadly ghastly. Students walking by got hit with the invisible wall of stench and either bolted in the opposite direction or dry heaved in the middle of the hall. Even teachers were covering their faces with their shirts, frantically trying to figure out if the school had been hit by a biological attack. But James? Oh, he wasn't done. Seeing the level of destruction he had already caused, he took his stink campaign to the next level. His next target? The men's bathroom. With zero hesitation, James marched straight in, locked the door, and unloaded the entire rest of the bottle. The walls, the stalls, even the sinks, nothing was spared. Within minutes, the entire bathroom was so uninhabitable that the school had no choice but to shut it down completely. The janitor, the poor soul who got sent in to investigate, took one step inside and noped out immediately. The school's out-of-order sign went up so fast, it might as well have been a crime scene. The smell didn't just stay inside the bathroom, it leaked into the hallways, blending with the history classroom disaster to create the most disgusting, ungodly odor ever to curse the school. At this point, students were suffering. The stench followed them everywhere. But James, still not done. With a smirk on his face and just a few last spritzes left in the bottle, he casually made his way to the cafeteria. Now, lunchtime is sacred, but James didn't care. He accidentally sprayed a bit near the entrance, and within minutes, students started abandoning their food trays. Some just couldn't eat anymore, others straight up left the cafeteria entirely. The lunch lady looked like she had seen too much in life and was ready to quit right there. Now, you'd think by this point, James would have stopped, but nope, final round. With barely any spray left, he made his way to the science lab during chemistry class, thinking, what happens when I mix this with actual chemicals? He unleashed one last, glorious spray right near the Bunsen burners. And oh boy, instant disaster. The combination of the existing lab fumes and James's special turned the lab into a war zone. Students coughed, gagged, and stumbled out the door, the teacher yelling that the room needed to be evacuated immediately. The teacher was so convinced some kind of chemical reaction had happened that they started shutting down the gas lines. But no, it was just James. At this point, the school was practically on lockdown. The history classroom, unusable. The hallways, a danger zone. The men's bathroom, shut down indefinitely. The cafeteria, ruined. The science lab, decontaminated like a crime scene. And what was James doing through all of this? Acting like he had no idea what was happening. Even though everyone knew, the janitor refused to step foot in the bathroom for the rest of the week. Teachers stayed on high alert, and students, they would never forget the day James nearly shut down the school with a single bottle of fart spray.